Pokémon Next Generation, Fanfiction, Season 1 Part 2, created by Marcus J. Anthony, narrated by Jordan Walters. A storm unleashed its fury over Viridian City, where hundreds gathered to protest around the Viridian City gym. News of the gym's reopening had stirred up controversy, as Giovanni once led it. Now his estranged son Silver was set to take charge, leading to resentment among locals who feared that Silver might follow in his father's footsteps. Observing the protest, Professor Samuel Oakes' granddaughter, Daisy Oak Stone, stood alongside her daughter, Rachel Stone. The child's father, former Hoenn region champion Steven Stone, shared her sentiments, both expressing their disgust at Silver's decision to reopen the gym. Despite Rachel's frustration, Daisy urged her to leave and continue shopping, concerned that the stormy weather could lead to her catching a cold just days before embarking on her Pokemon coordinator journey. While Rachel hesitated, Daisy found herself engaged in conversation with an Officer Jenny she knew from high school. The two chatted, leaving Rachel to gaze at the ongoing protest with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Outside the Viridian City gym gate, a mysterious figure, clad in black, with a hood covering his face, stood amidst the crowd. Jenny's Growlithe bolted through the people, and the hooded man attempted to scale the gates, earning cheers from some civilians. Growlithe, however, sprang up and clamped its fangs onto the man's shoe, yanking him back down. Officer Jenny swiftly made her way through the crowd, seized the man, and pulled his hood back, revealing a teenage boy not much older than Rachel. The boy, named Anthony Green, a 17-year-old from Viridian City, angrily declared his intention to confront Silver and make him regret coming to the city. Jenny recognized Anthony and knew his mother, Hillary Green, a cleaner at the Pokemon Center, well respected in her community for her hard work as a single mother facing financial struggles. As Anthony vented his frustrations, Daisy and Rachel, intrigued by the unfolding drama, failed to notice a Mankey sneaking up behind them. The mischievous Pokemon snatched Daisy's purse and tossed it into the air. A man wearing a ghastly mask swiftly caught it, and the duo escaped into a dark alleyway. Witnessing the robbery, Jenny released Anthony and, accompanied by her Growlithe, sped off on her motorcycle to apprehend the thieves. However, upon reaching the dead end of the alleyway, the robber and his Mankey vanished. Anthony approached Rachel and Daisy, asserting his familiarity with the streets and a hunch about where the robbers might have gone. He grabbed a bicycle and sped off down the road, leaving Rachel to call after him. Her boots flashed with yellow lights, and suddenly wheels popped out from beneath the shoe. These were Rotom skates, and Rachel rocketed through the crowd with her mother crying after her. Out of sight, she quickly caught up to Anthony. Despite Anthony yelling at her for following him, Rachel demanded that he tell her what he knew about the robber. Anthony explained that many robbers use Hypno, which lurk in alleyways waiting to escape through teleportation. Moreover, they often have a designated safe place to which they teleport. The pair arrived at an old abandoned playground and discovered the robber and the Mankey behind a tree, emptying Daisy's purse containing cash, jewelry, and Pokeballs. Rachel, with great courage, yelled at the robber, who simply laughed. When he turned to acknowledge Anthony as a former thief, Anthony claimed that life was behind him. However, Rachel interrupted, demanding her mother's belongings back, especially her Pokemon. The robber mocked her, prompting Rachel to throw a Pokeball, and Eevee emerged growling at the Mankey. The robber retaliated by throwing a Pokeball, summoning a Grimer to stand alongside the Mankey. Rachel recoiled in disgust. As a clean freak, she hated poison-type Pokemon.
Dirty poison
Anthony
type.
suggested she send out a second Pokemon for an even playing field, but Rachel had only received her first Pokemon, Eevee, a couple days ago. She asked Anthony to send out a Pokemon, but he revealed he was not a trainer and had no Pokemon. Rachel made a shocked remark, to which Anthony responded, "We all don't have parents who can afford to get their kids a trainer's license." While they argued, the robber commanded Mankey to use Double Kick and Grimer to use Acid. Rachel, determined to fight back, ordered Eevee to use Sand Attack. The gust of sand sprayed into Mankey's eyes, but the acid hit Eevee, sending it reeling. Struck by poison, Eevee staggered but pushed through, dragging itself forward. It charged for a quick attack, tackling into Grimer's sludge body, causing minimal damage. Unfortunately, this increased the poison, and Evie vomited and collapsed. Rachel cried out, but Evie, showing incredible resilience, dragged itself up to barely stand. Anthony, concerned for Evie's well-being, ordered Rachel to send it back into its Pokeball, citing its low level and the risk for further harm. "But he has my mom's Pokemon. I don't care about her money or jewelry. I grew up with those creatures. They're family." Anthony stared at Rachel for a moment and shook his head out of the trance. He said he had a plan. He asked Rachel to use Evie to distract Grimer and Mankey. Rachel ordered Evie to use Attract. Both Grimer and Mankey went googly-eyed and refused to harm Evie any further, infuriating the robber. This distraction caught the robber off guard as he realized Anthony was nowhere in sight. He looked around in a sweat until a shadow fell from the tree above him. Anthony drove his knees into the robber's back and dragged him to the ground. He crawled to the purse where all of Daisy's belongings lay and picked up one of the Pokeballs in its miniature form, pressing the center button for it to expand. Evie vomited again and fainted by Rachel's feet. She picked it up in her arms and started sobbing. Mankey ran towards Anthony and kicked him in the chest, sending him through the air. Anthony rose to his feet, gasping for breath. "That's all. I picked a strong one," Anthony said, staring at the Ultra Ball in his hand. He tossed it through the air and it released the Pokemon in a bright light. "Holy crap! It's a Dragonite!" Dragonite belting an echoing roar caused Mankey and Grimer to cower back to the robber. Anthony then explained to the confused Dragonite what's happening. The robber threw 4 more Pokeballs with rage. A Hypno, Magnemite, Pinsir, and Raticate joined Mankey and Grimer in battle, but Dragonite was not one bit intimidated. Anthony glanced back at Rachel, unsure what to do. Meanwhile, the robber's 6 Pokemon were conjuring up attacks. Rachel tossed her Rotom phone to Anthony, explaining it is also a Pokédex, and it can inform him of Dragonite's moveset. A nervous Anthony called for Dragonite to use extreme speed to avoid the incoming attacks and to follow it up with Dragon Tail. Like a flash, Dragonite pursued the 6 Pokemon with its tail turning a glowing green while hardening into a thick scale layer. He bashed all 6, and they were sent flying into the robber, and they crashed into the tree. Anthony called for Thunderbolt, to which Rachel protested against as she felt this might end fatally. Dragonite's antennas began to spark, and then a bolt of lightning shot out of its head and zoomed up into the gray clouds. A thick beam of lightning belted down and struck the robber and his 6 Pokemon, all howling in pain. The beam vanished, and Rachel dashed to check if the robber and the Pokemon were alive. And she was relieved they were, but they were badly injured. Rachel snatched her phone from a stunned Anthony, who was frozen in bewilderment. She called Officer Jenny and an ambulance. Rachel thanked Anthony for his help, but explained the Thunderbolt wasn't necessary as Dragonite is an extremely high-leveled Pokemon who had been trained for 2 decades. Words failed to exit Anthony's mouth as he became overwhelmed. Sirens wailed through the park, the flashing lights of police squad bikes and ambulances cutting through the dusk. Medics swiftly attend to Evie, administering an antidote to counteract the effects of the poison. Relief washed over Rachel as she recounted the battle to Jenny, who commended Anthony for his quick thinking. Returning to the street of the Viridian City gym, the protest clamor persisted. Daisy, stress evident in her tear-streaked face, ran towards Rachel, embracing her tightly. Another woman, Hillary, followed closely. Her own distress transformed into anger as she smacked Anthony behind the ear. As Hillary scolded her son, Daisy whispered to Rachel, questioning why a 17-year-old like Anthony hadn't become a trainer earlier. Rachel explained the financial struggles, and Daisy nodded in understanding. Approaching Anthony, Daisy thanked them for protecting her daughter and Pokemon. "If you could be a trainer," Daisy asked, "what kind would you be?" Anthony's eyes gleamed with determination. "If I were a trainer, my first goal would be to support my mom financially. I want to buy her a house so she can live a comfortable life without worry. Then, I'll work on becoming a Pokemon master." In a gesture that mirrored the depth of her conviction, Daisy continued, her gaze fixed on Anthony. Recognizing his potential and commending his selfless courage, she vowed to secure Gary Oak's endorsement for Anthony as a Pokemon trainer. The promise of a Pokemon license seemed to hang in the air like a shimmering possibility. and the shock on Anthony's and his mother's faces reflected the magnitude of Daisy's offer. With a sense of urgency, Daisy proposed that Anthony join her and Rachel on their return journey to Pallet Town. There, he would have the chance to meet the renowned Gary Oak himself. In the heart of Pallet Town, a new chapter awaited Anthony, marked by the reception of a Pokédex and the selection of a starter Pokémon, a destiny unfolding before him. Yet as the trio absorbed the weight of this revelation, a tumultuous roar erupted from the protesters. Boos and jeers shadowed the moment, drawing attention to the gate of the gym where police officers struggled to disperse the angered crowd. The gate slowly creaked open, revealing a path cleared by the authoritative presence of law enforcement. Amidst the chaos, a sleek black limousine glided through the gate, coming to a regal halt outside the gym doors. The driver, dressed in a sharp black suit, stepped out and made his way to the rear of the limousine. With practiced precision, he swung open the back door, unveiling a young man no older than 25 who emerged with an air of undeniable confidence. This was Silver, the son of the infamous Giovanni. Unfazed by the hostile reception, he waved at the protesters as though their vehement words were a symphony of gratitude. The ironic gesture only served to further enrage the crowd, their anger reaching new heights as the limousine's presence loomed, a symbol of authority and power in the tumultuous sea of dissent.
To the great people of Viridian City, and my fellow Cantonians, I assure you, I am not like Giovanni. I have preoccupied this gym to restore its greatness. I will not be using it as a secret base, like that evil man did. I am as glad as you are he is locked away in a deserted island along with the rest of the Dark Alliance. I promise to be a gym leader you could be proud of. Here, I make a vow. If I lose a battle, I will step down as gym leader. However, I will only accept elite challenges. Any who choose to challenge this gym must have 7 gym badges or equivalent accomplishments on their record.
Silver gave the crowd another arrogant wave before he and his entourage entered the gym, and the protesters continued to chant their hatred with many trainers stepping forward, demanding a battle. "I have another goal," Anthony said, smiling at his mother Hillary, Daisy, and Rachel. "I'm gonna knock that punk off his throne." End of part 2. The journey continues.